Hey, hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and a blessed one at that. And you were able to spend time with family and friends. 2020 is coming to the end, and for most people, we can't get to the end fast enough as we want to move forward into a new year and put 2020 behind us. I'm Scott Zambelli. I'm one half of Team Titans of Real Estate. My partner Joe Webler is enjoying time with her family right now. So I just want to touch base with everyone, say hello. And as we wrap up 2020, the common question I start getting now is, what's it look like for 2021? What are the experts projecting? What's real estate doing? And is it a good time to buy or sell a house? That's always the question, right? So I thought I'd get right into it and look at some of the reports that are out there. And I'll start with this one here. So for 2021, the market is projected to continue to go up. This is from Realtor.com. I've also seen similar projections in Forbes magazine and others as well. In a nutshell, the projection, and you can find these reports yourself if you want to read thoroughly. But the projection right now, they're looking to average at 3.2% for mortgage rates throughout the year, but by the end of year to go up to 3.4%. So if you're looking to refinance or buy a house, you're going to want to do that before interest rates go up. And of course, we have a certain political climate going on right now, which depending who is in office, they have the different policies are going to have different effects on those rates. So depending what you believe or don't believe, you're going to want to take those factors into account as well. But so interest rates, though, across the board, I've been reading, are expected to start going up. It's not going to be drastic, but they are expected to go up. Another one, the existing median sales price will go up 5.7%. So right here, this is a nice little graphic here. 5.7% is what the average house prices are expected to go up. Now, one interesting thing about that, hey, good morning, Yolanda. There's Yolanda there. She's a fellow agent here at Realty my banner back there, Realty Executives Hometown. So nice to see you there. Hope you had a blessed Christmas. So anyways, prices are expected to go up 5.7%. What's interesting about that is, let me go to our actual stats for the MLS here in Michigan, because when we had done, I went back and looked at our projections last year, and they were predicting a 6% increase in pricing in the average house prices for 2020. Now, we had a very strange year, and I wanted to see how did the projections look compared to reality now that we're approaching the end. This here is a graph from our MLS. This takes the actual data, and this is showing the home prices through the years. And as I slide down, you can see the different months and what the average prices are. If you go all the way back to 2012, average home prices then was $69,000. That was when the bubble bursted and everything was bad. And that's when we finally were starting to come out of it. Since 2012 to now, the average prices have gone from $69,000 to $195,000. That's a 280 something percent increase, almost 3 times the amount. That's what it's done in 8 years. When you go to the last year, here's over the last year, the average median price. At the beginning of 2020, it was 179,000, and it's gone up to 195. That comes out to be just under 9%. So we outperformed the year predictions. The predictions were 6. We came in at almost 9. So that's quite the outpacing of the market. And you may ask yourself, well, how is this? We had lockdowns and everything else. Well, what we have is a true supply and demand scenario going on here. And what's being spoken about in these projections for this next year, and why they think it's going to go up 5.7%. And if you look at what we outperformed this year, if we continue to outperform at the same pace, that's really going to translate to about a 7.5% to 8% increase if we continue outpacing at the same rate. But what's happening is the largest generation out there is well, you got the Gen Zs coming of age and you got the millennials. They're now becoming old enough to buy houses. And that's a huge surge of buyers coming into the market. That's demand. But supply, as you'll see here, if I go here for homes for sale, here's the chart for homes for sale over the last year. You can just see how back in January 2019, we had 27,000 homes for sale each month. That total of new homes coming up on the market is just dropping down to just under 19. But let's go back to that 10-year. So this is when the market started recovering here in 2012. And we've just had a progressive, back then we had 49,000 houses on the market. Now that was too many. That's why prices were so low. There were too many houses on the market. But as they go down, then they started leveling out, started increasing. And then since right here, our last peak was June of 2015. Ever since then, it's been a downhill slope of inventory of new houses. Why is this? Well, the reason is interest rates have been dropping quite a bit, especially over the last 4 years. The market's been getting stronger, but people have been refinancing their houses instead of selling them. They're refinancing and then pouring the money back into their own houses to fix them up and remodel. So instead of the average person, I'm going from memory here when we talked about this last year, the average person was living in their house something like 5 to 8 years way back when. But as we've gotten to this point, now the average person stays in their house about 13 years. So people are staying in their houses longer. Also, baby boomers, as they're getting older, the previous generation, they tended to move out of their house, sell their house, and then move into assisted living or nursing homes. The baby boomers are choosing to stay in their own homes instead of doing that. So what's happening is the supply of houses that are out there with current residents are staying owned by those residents. They're not being put up. So you're not getting a constant supply of new houses going on the market. In the meantime, you have demand going up, supply going down. So what's the offset? The offset is to make more inventory by building new construction. But the issue there is new construction, especially in this area, because land is so expensive, tends to be houses that are 300, 400, 500,000 and up in price, which is fine for people who can afford those houses. But the surge in new buyers, those are first-time home buyers. They're looking at starter homes. But so that new construction isn't alleviating the demand being created by those new first-time home buyers. So that's where we're getting. So we're getting supply dropping, demand increasing, which is causing prices to go up. And here you can see here's the pending sales. This is how many houses are selling each month. So you can see here, the total number, the demand has been pretty even. This is since 2012, we're going about 83, 84,000. Up here, we had a good spike in December of 2015 of 90,000, but then it leveled back off. We keep hovering around 85,000 or so sales per month. It's been very consistent, the actual level of purchases. Okay. But with the inventory dropping and the new buyers coming on the market, that's where the surge in price is coming up. So the actual demand, which is the number of houses selling each month, is staying it's hovering back and forth between 80 to 90,000 very, very consistently since 2012, very consistently. So you can see that there. But like I said, so what's causing the increase? It's supply. So let me go back to the here, days on market. Here's another interesting one. This chart, great chart from our MLS. I love looking at these numbers because it really paints a picture of what's going on. It used to take a house on average 43 days to sell back in 2012. And you've seen as that demand, as the inventory keeps dropping, but the new buyers keep coming in the market, because supply keeps dropping, houses are selling faster. So instead of houses taking 40 days to sell, we are now getting down to 19 days on average for a house to sell. That's where we were in November. So the December number, we're not done with December, so we won't have the December numbers until probably second week of January. But it looks to be a pretty consistent trend in dropping. So that's where we're at. So if we go back to here, month supply. I like this chart too. Month supply. This is based upon the current demand of houses, the number of houses selling each month. If you took the current level of inventory that exists and no new houses came on the market, how long would it take you to sell the entire inventory out? So back in 2012, if no new houses came on the market, it would take 10 and a half months to sell all the houses that were on the MLS. Okay. And you can see that average, how it's dropped, and it just keeps going down and down and down. So right now we're at our inventory levels based upon November, 2.7 months. So that means if no new houses came on the market, but the demand stayed the same, it would take just over 2.5 months to sell every house that's on the market, and then we'd be out of inventory. So that really shows you how far things have come. So one last time, we'll go to new listings. This was the other one. So here where you see new listings, this is the houses hitting the market. 143,000 houses per month were coming on the market. You got some fluctuation there, but where you really see it is if you look at this last year here. Look at this. So this is where the lockdowns hit. So we were staying pretty consistent, even though it was a low amount for us. We were staying consistent around 129,000. See that? 128, 129. It stayed very level. Then the lockdown happened at the end of March, about the third week of March. And you see what happened after the lockdowns hit. We went from 126,000 to 117 to 115, and it kept dropping. Looks like it's starting to level off a little. December will tell us if it leveled off or kept dropping. But we're down to 108,000 new listings on the market. Okay. But like I said, if you go back to here, go back to this chart, about 85,000, it all stayed the same. We had a drop in demand also from the lockdown, but see how fast in May it was already rebounding. Look at that. You can see how fast. I'll zoom in. Lockdown happened. So new listings dropped here, but then they rebounded. The market rebounded in May. It started coming back. But if you remember the chart for new listings, it kept dropping while this line kept going up. We're actually at 87,000. So what's happening is we're actually going above the average now, because those people who would have bought here are now hitting the market, but those new houses aren't. So that's where we're seeing that. So anyways, not to go too crazy on this and geek out too much over the numbers, but just to say this, we projected based upon Forbes and other sources, there was going to be a 6% increase in prices and median prices in 2020. Right now, we're at about 8.8% increase in prices for the year. We'll see where December ends up, but based upon this projection, it's probably going to end up around 197 or so for the average, because there's no sign of it slowing down. So that gives you a good idea where we're at. So with that said, let me go back to this, stop that screen and share the other screen. Go back to the projections here. So as I said, you can see that 5.7%, that's the projected increase. I think we're going to, even with the craziness of 2020, we outperformed those projections of 6%. So I won't be surprised if we see prices go up up to 7% instead of 5.7%. Another projection. Real estate tends to be seasonal. We have very defined moments in the real estate market where like typically you'll see a little surge in housing going on the market at the new year. Then it'll slow down a little. And most of the people we talk to are waiting for spring, and they'll either define spring as Easter, they're waiting for Easter, or actual spring to hit. They want the weather to break before they put their houses on the market. Then when Easter hits, we usually get a nice surge of housing on the market, and then the buyers start looking. Then the next wave is school. People are waiting for the school year to end to put their house on the market. And then we get a big surge at that time typically. And then around fall, things slow down a little bit. And that's the seasonality of real estate. 2020 was, that was completely blown apart. It did not match. There was no waves the way it was projected. It was just a constant craziness all year long. So they're predicting seasonality will come back in 2021. I don't know if that's true. Only because if everybody starts going back to school and resuming their lives, going back to work, I think the seasonality will happen. But as long as people are working from home, going to school from home, homeschooling or doing virtual schooling, whatever they're doing, there's no need to time your life situations around those type of things. If you're doing school from a computer, you can do school from anywhere. If you're working from home, you can do work from anywhere. And I've had buyers tell me they're actually holding out on trying to sell their house because they want to make sure. They don't know what their work situation is. They don't know if working from home is going to become permanent or if they're going to have to go back to work. And depending on which of those two things occur, that will greatly influence where they live. If they don't have to go drive into work every day, they would rather maybe go move to a little, less populated area, get that 5 acres of land they wanted and work from home at their dream home. But if they're going to have to drive into work every day, they would rather move more, into the suburbs or into the city, be at closer to work and reduce their commute time. So those are factors that come into play. So I know I've been coming across that a lot. So, but they're projecting seasonality will make a return in next year. Home sales are going up 7%. Now this is talking about quantity of sales. And the reason why they're talking, this isn't talking about the average price like this one is. This is talking about the median price of houses. This is talking about the pure quantity of houses. They're thinking there's going to be a 7% increase in volume of home sales. That's great news for people like me, realtors. It's been a weird year. It really has been. While the numbers have been good for us on the price of the homes, there is this will make it much healthier for us on our end. What's causing a 7% increase? Well, prices. A natural relief to supply and demand. When demand is too high in comparison to supply, prices go up. Well, as those prices keep going up, people who are holding on to their houses, more and more people will say, oh, well, if I can get that much for the house, I'd rather sell my house than fix it up or whatever. Or I can finally make enough equity. I have enough equity in my home. I can sell this house and maybe downsize to a smaller house and pay cash for it or whatever the situation is. But the higher prices go, the more enticement and incentive people will have to sell. That surge will help alleviate some of the pressures on that end. That's for the existing homes. And then even on new homes, as prices keep going up, incentives will be there for the builders to build more of those homes that are high in demand to help alleviate pressure there. So we're going to see home sales going up in quantity. Another 7% is what they're projecting. Mortgage rates, as I said, they're predicting 3.4% by the end of the year. And who are these? This is Realtor.com is who's putting these numbers out. Okay, so rising prices will start. Here's what's going to happen, right? So while prices are going up in actual dollars, those interest rates, as they go up, will have a huge impact on what a buyer can afford. See, a buyer who can afford a $300,000 house today, if that percent goes up another percent, they might not get approved for $300,000 tomorrow because they might only get $280,000 versus $300,000 or whatever. I'm just whipping numbers off the top of my head. Don't quote me on these ones. But the point is, the higher the interest, the less house they can afford. And if prices keep going up on top of it, so if you're now able to afford, let's just hypothetically say, you're going to only afford a $280,000 house a year from now versus a $300,000 because of interest rates. But then you factor in prices are going up. If they do go up that 6%, let's see, that would be 280,000 times 0.06. That's another 16,000. So that would be roughly like a 275,000 280. So I said 280. So that would be 270, 265 roughly. So now instead of buying a $300,000 house today because low interest rates and the current value of money, versus a year from now, you'd be getting a $265,000 house in relation to the same scenario. Hope that made sense. The point being, if you're looking to buy, give us a call because we got to hook you up sooner than later. Okay. Finally, rise of the millennials. No longer just dominating the entry-level market. Millennials are getting to the age too where a lot of them are going to start buying their second home. They're going to sell their first home, upsize, get more bedrooms or whatever because they're starting to have children. Isn't that hard to believe? In my head, millennials are still 10-year-olds, but that age group of millennials are really, they're getting to be 30. So that's something to consider. So anyways, I just wanted to show these to you so you can see what is happening out there, what the predictions say. We outperformed in 2020, even with the craziness of lockdowns and everything else. Definitely threw curveballs in for us, but that's how the market works. Supply and demand is the ultimate decider of things. And the good news about this, though, is a lot of people will look back at 2008 when the bubble bursted, and they have concerns because prices are going up so high, and they're asking a lot like, well, is the bubble going to burst like it did in 2008? Here's the difference between the two. 2008, there was an artificial demand created. People were getting loans that shouldn't have got loans. People were getting approved for amounts more than they should have been approved for. It was creating an artificial demand in the marketplace. So prices were going up because of the artificial demand. Once the artificial component was removed, there was nothing to hold that bubble up anymore, and it deflated. When you have demand prices going up like this because of true market conditions, it's no longer a bubble. Market conditions will start creating to offset. Like I said, more people will be enticed to sell their homes. Builders will start filling in the gaps with new construction. Things will happen that will alleviate that pressure in a controlled way through the marketplace. And that's why it's so important, the distinction between the two. So anyways, that's enough yapping on my part. But I'm looking forward to 2021. I think there's going to be a lot of positives. There's always hope with the new year, right? January always brings new hope. So things will get better, and eventually one way or the other. And if you need a realtor, give us a call. You see our numbers right there along the bottom. 586-549-6096 is my number, or Jill Webler, 586-277-2145. As always, you can follow us on Facebook right here. Our Facebook page is Team Titans RE is how you can find us on Facebook. Follow us on there. I'll type it into the comments here, just so you can click on it as well. So there you go. Click on that, hit the follow button. You can see the follow button would be, well, this is my page, so you're seeing me as the user, but right around here, it'll say follow. View as a visitor. Here we go. So when you come on here, it's currently liked. It'll say follow on there. So follow us there. You'll see our videos. There's my video there. We could do an inception thing or something. If I click that, we can watch myself in like 10 seconds in the past. That would be cool. But anyways, follow us, call us, whatever. Our consultations are always free. And, the worst you do is walk away with more information in your hand. So have a happy new year. Hope you had a Merry Christmas, and just whatever happens, we made it through 2020, right? So 2021 will be a breeze. So take care, everyone. God bless.